A massive steel fortress, weighing tens of thousands of tons, sits motionless in a concrete canyon surrounded by towering walls. Then, with the push of a button, millions upon millions of gallons of water rush in like a controlled tsunami. Within hours, this colossal warship, longer than 3 football fields, rises from its concrete cradle and floats for the very first time. This isn't an accident. This isn't a disaster. This is exactly what the United States Navy planned to happen. The USS John F. Kennedy, our nation's second Ford-class supercarrier, experienced this exact moment on October 29, 2019. After years of construction, this multi-billion-dollar guardian of freedom finally touched water. But the process that gets these floating cities from dry land to open ocean is far more complex and dangerous than most people realize. What you're about to discover will change the way you think about American naval engineering forever. Because flooding a multi-billion-dollar warship isn't just impressive, it's a carefully orchestrated ballet of precision, timing, and nerves of steel, where one mistake could cost more than the GDP of some small countries. If you're proud of what our Navy accomplishes every single day, give this video a thumbs up. Today, we're taking you inside the incredible engineering marvel that is aircraft carrier launching. From the massive dry docks of Newport News shipbuilding to the moment massive amounts of water transform a static structure into a floating fortress, you'll discover why this process represents the pinnacle of American craftsmanship and determination. Deep in Virginia, along the James River, sits a facility that has been building America's floating fortresses for over a century. Newport News Shipbuilding isn't just any shipyard. It's the only place in America capable of building nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. The heart of this operation lies in massive concrete structures called graving docks. These aren't ordinary construction sites. Dry Dock 12, where the USS John F. Kennedy was born, stretches for thousands of feet and spans hundreds of feet wide. To put this in perspective, you could park hundreds of school buses end to end in this space. But here's what makes this even more remarkable. These carriers aren't built like regular ships. While most vessels are constructed in pieces and assembled, aircraft carriers are built from the keel up as one continuous structure. Every pipe, every cable, every room is carefully planned and installed, while the ship sits on massive concrete blocks called keel blocks. These keel blocks are engineering marvels themselves. Made of concrete and topped with wood caps, they support the entire weight of the carrier during construction. The USS John F. Kennedy, weighing as much as hundreds of fully loaded commercial aircraft, rested on these blocks for years, while thousands of skilled workers brought her to life. More than 3,200 shipbuilders and 2,000 suppliers from across our great nation contributed to Kennedy's construction. From the steel workers who shaped her hull to the electronic specialists who installed her radar systems, this represents American craftsmanship at its finest. But after years of construction, the moment of truth arrives. How do you take a warship of this magnitude, sitting in a concrete hole, and transform it into a floating vessel ready to defend American interests around the world? The answer is both simple and terrifying. You flood it. October 29th, 2019, marked a historic day not just for the Navy, but for everyone who believes in American maritime superiority. On this autumn morning, shipyard workers prepared to witness something truly spectacular. The first flooding of Dry Dock 12 with the Kennedy inside. But this isn't simply opening a valve and letting water rush in. The flooding process is a carefully orchestrated ballet of engineering precision that unfolds over several days. every step is monitored, measured, and controlled to ensure the safety of both the ship and the workers. Think about what's at stake here. You've got a multi-billion-dollar warship that's never touched water before. You've got over 1,000 workers whose lives depend on this process going perfectly. And you've got the reputation of the United States Navy riding on every decision. The process begins with flooding the dock to a carefully calculated depth, just enough to reach the keel blocks. At this stage, engineers conduct critical tests to ensure everything is working perfectly. The water doesn't just flow in randomly. It's directed through specific channels and measured with incredible precision. As the water level rises, something magical happens. This massive steel structure, which has sat motionless for years, begins to feel the gentle embrace of buoyancy. The laws of physics that keep every ship afloat start to take effect, even while the carrier remains supported by its keel blocks. Mike Butler, the program director for Kennedy, described this moment perfectly. The flooding of the dry dock is truly a historic event in the construction of the ship, and a special moment for the men and women who have worked to get the ship to this point. What makes this achievement even more impressive is that Kennedy reached this milestone 3 months ahead of schedule. This speaks volumes about the dedication and skill of American shipbuilders who work tirelessly to strengthen our nation's defense capabilities. But here's where it gets really interesting. As those millions of gallons continue pouring in, engineers are watching every single measurement like hawks. They're monitoring water pressure, they're checking structural stress points, they're calculating buoyancy in real time, because if the water comes in too fast, it could damage support structures or create dangerous currents around the ship. If it comes in unevenly, the carrier could shift on its blocks, potentially causing catastrophic damage. We're talking about measurements accurate to fractions of an inch on a structure that's longer than multiple football fields. When the dock reaches full capacity, with millions upon millions of gallons of water, the Kennedy experiences true flotation for the first time. The massive carrier, no longer dependent on its concrete supports, floats freely within the confines of the dry dock. Imagine that moment. Years of work, thousands of workers, billions of dollars, all coming down to this single moment, when a warship of this magnitude either floats perfectly or something goes terribly wrong. The transition from a supported structure to a floating vessel represents one of the most critical moments in carrier construction. Once fully afloat, the Kennedy must be carefully maneuvered within the dry dock, where she'll undergo additional testing before her official christening. This movement requires incredible precision. Tugboats, positioning systems, and experienced pilots work together to guide this floating city with remarkable accuracy. There's no room for error when you're moving a vessel worth billions of dollars. The christening ceremony itself carries deep tradition and meaning. In December 2019, the time-honored ritual of breaking a champagne bottle against the ship's bow took place. This ceremony connected the new Kennedy to the proud legacy of carriers that came before her. Following the christening, the real adventure begins. The Kennedy undocks into the James River, where she begins her journey toward becoming a fully operational guardian of American interests. But she's far from ready for combat. Months of additional outfitting, testing, and crew training lie ahead. This process showcases the incredible patience and precision required to build these floating fortresses. Unlike commercial ships that might be rushed to market, military vessels undergo exhaustive testing to ensure they can perform their mission when our nation's security depends on it. The movement from dry dock to river represents more than just a change of location. It symbolizes the transformation from construction project to naval vessel, from static structure to dynamic weapon system capable of projecting American power anywhere in the world. Now you might be wondering, why go through all this trouble? Why not just build the ship in the water like they do with smaller vessels? The answer comes down to three critical factors: precision, safety, and capability. First, precision. When you're building a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier with systems so advanced that no other nation on Earth possesses them, you need absolute control over every phase of construction. Building in a dry dock allows workers to access every single part of the ship. They can install systems, run tests, and make adjustments that would be impossible if the ship were already floating. Second, safety. Construction workers aren't Navy sailors. They're skilled craftsmen who need solid ground beneath their feet to do their jobs properly. Working in a dry dock means they can move equipment, install heavy components, and conduct dangerous operations without the added risk of working on a floating platform. Third, capability. These Ford-class carriers represent the biggest leap forward in carrier design since the introduction of nuclear power. They generate significantly more electrical power than older carriers. They can launch more aircraft sorties per day than previous carriers. They require fewer crew members thanks to advanced automation. Building these capabilities into a ship requires a level of precision that's only possible in a controlled dry dock environment. Every wire, every pipe, every system must be installed perfectly, because lives will depend on them. Behind all the impressive technology and staggering statistics are thousands of dedicated Americans who make this ship work. The sailors who will crew the Kennedy, the shipyard workers who built her, and the engineers who designed her all deserve recognition for their exceptional skill and dedication. Shipyard workers spent hundreds of thousands of man-hours on Kennedy's construction. Think about that. These skilled craftsmen worked in difficult conditions, often in tight spaces, always aware that their work directly impacts national security. They took pride in every weld, every measurement, every test. Their professionalism ensured the construction was done right. Many shipyard families have worked at Newport News for decades, passing down skills and pride from parent to child. This continuity ensures that the knowledge and expertise required to build these complex vessels never disappear. The challenges these workers face would overwhelm most people. They work with nuclear reactors, advanced electronics, precision machinery, and weapon systems that represent the cutting edge of military technology. Every weld, every installation, every test must meet exacting standards because lives depend on their work. After the Kennedy floats for the first time, the real work begins. The ship must undergo rigorous testing before the Navy will certify her ready for deployment. These aren't simple tests. They're comprehensive evaluations of every critical system under realistic conditions. The ship conducts what's called fast cruise exercises while still pierside. During a fast cruise, the crew operates the ship as if it were at sea, but the ship remains tied to the dock. This allows them to test communications, damage control procedures, combat systems, and every other operational capability in a controlled environment. Next come the sea trials. The Kennedy heads out to sea for extended periods, conducting increasingly complex evolutions. The ship runs at high speed. She makes tight turns. She stops and starts. Every maneuver tests the propulsion system and all the work that was done during construction. Throughout all this testing, the crew gains proficiency with their ship. They learn her capabilities and her quirks. They practice responding to emergencies, conducting repairs, and maintaining combat readiness. A carrier is only as effective as her crew, and that crew must be expertly trained. The successful construction and launch of the USS John F. Kennedy carries enormous strategic significance. Aircraft carriers remain the most powerful symbols of American military might and our ability to project force anywhere in the world. When a carrier is operational, it provides options that no other military asset can match. A single carrier strike group can influence events across vast areas of ocean and land. The presence of a carrier changes calculations for potential adversaries. Nations think twice before taking aggressive actions when an American supercarrier is nearby. Consider the global situation America faces today. Rival nations are rapidly expanding their naval forces and asserting claims over disputed waters. Adversaries continue to challenge American interests in multiple regions. Hostile nations regularly threaten international shipping lanes. Unpredictable regimes remain dangerous. In this environment, carrier presence becomes absolutely critical. The Navy plans to eventually field a fleet of Ford-class carriers, though that will take decades to accomplish. Each new carrier replaces an aging ship from previous generations. This transition ensures America maintains carrier dominance, even as our older ships reach the end of their service lives. Critics sometimes question the cost of these enormous vessels. The price tag is certainly substantial, but consider what you get for that investment. A mobile military airbase that can remain on station for months, project power across thousands of miles, and operate independently without relying on potentially unreliable foreign bases. No other military asset provides such flexibility and capability. Allied nations also take comfort in American carrier presence. Our friends and partners know that when a U.S. carrier is nearby, they have powerful support. This strengthens alliances, promotes stability, and reinforces the international order that has generally prevented major conflicts since World War II. From that first moment, when millions of gallons of water rush into the dry dock, to the day these floating fortresses deploy worldwide, the process of launching aircraft carriers represents American ingenuity, craftsmanship, and commitment to freedom at its finest. These ships carry more than aircraft and weapons. They carry the hopes and prayers of a grateful nation. Every time one of these magnificent vessels slides into the water, it sends a clear message to the world. America remains committed to defending liberty and supporting our allies wherever they may be. The men and women who build, launch, and operate these carriers deserve our deepest respect and gratitude. Their dedication ensures that America's naval forces remain the most capable and respected in the world. The next time you see footage of an aircraft carrier at sea, remember the incredible journey that brought her there. From the first steel cut to that magical moment when she first touched water, ready to serve our nation with pride and distinction. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey behind the scenes of American naval power. If this video gave you a new appreciation for our Navy's capabilities, hit that like button and subscribe for more content celebrating the men and women who keep America safe. Until next time, stay proud of the greatest Navy in the world.